Yeah, bro, I pray my boys are not getting BBLs, but I've never ever dropped a quick fix on anyone. A lot of people took many years to mess their bodies up. They're expecting a little quick fix to fix the damage that was done over tons of years.
Can't buy a new body.
Can't buy a new body, bro.
Aurelio Miguel Mkwanazi.
Let's go.
Brother, thank you so much for joining us on Beyond the Hustle.
Well, happy to be here, my bro.
Wonderful. So as a start, can you just please, I've been struggling with the names, trying to connect them with different continents and countries. Can you maybe perhaps, for our viewers, explain where these names are coming from?
All right. So Aurelio, I have, Mozambican background from my dad's side, hence the Portuguese name, Aurelio Mkwanazi Miguel. So that's how so it's basically just Mozambique and South Africa. So yeah, it's the two coming together and yeah.
So Mkwanazi is not the last name?
No, Mkwanazi is the surname. Miguel is the second name. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Wonderful. Yes. Oh, so, just a background about yourself. Where do you come from? Where were you raised?
All right.
Yeah.
Perfect. Pretty much grew up in Johannesburg my whole life, east of Johannesburg to be specific. It's only recently that I moved to the north, and of course life's a bit different this side.
Yeah.
You know, we had to learn that pretty quickly, but some background, man, I was pretty much in fitness from the jump, you know, from school. That's where this whole thing pretty much started, you know, learning about fitness, getting into the fitness industry, looking up to a lot of people in the fitness industry who are now my, you know, close friends.
Yeah.
You know, so that's pretty much some background, man. It all started back there in high school where I saw this thing and I was like, you know, maybe I could, maybe I could do something with this thing. And, you know, everything turned out pretty according to plan.
Yeah. Was it a thing of, I'm really passionate about fitness, or was it a thing of, girls like it when someone is looking this buff?
Do you know what I'm saying? We can't lie. That's where it started. Girls were the heavy motivator, you know. we wanted the school shirts to just hug a little bit tighter, you know. That's where it started. And then, you know, as I went into depth, like really, really learning fitness and what it's about, and I got a deeper look into it, not really spiritually, but really just mentally, and learning the background of how people who did really big things in fitness did it. It was never really about girls, right? Because if you did do it for girls, you can start with that. Like I always tell people, you can start with it.
Yeah.
You know, it's an easy way to start, but it's not really going to take you to that next level, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it started with that and then transitioned a little bit.
Yeah. I can imagine, fitness is one of the toughest things to do. I teach finance and I always tell people that, one of the toughest thing to do when it comes to money is saving it. That is the toughest thing. Investing is not difficult, but saving is the most difficult because it requires a lot of discipline.
Yes.
You have to put money aside. You want to go on holiday, but you know that you can't touch that money. You want to buy a TV, but you know that you can't touch that money. Sure. That takes a lot of discipline. Yeah. And fitness is one of those things that takes a lot of discipline, right? Because you do it on a daily basis. And at times you don't even feel like doing it, but you have to do it. So maybe just tell us, how do you maintain that level of discipline? Has it always been there? Or it's a thing that you picked up along the way, or maybe you come from a family of people who like fitness? Yeah.
So if we're being honest, man, my family, pretty much no one is in fitness. This was something that I picked up, along the way. But if we link it back to finance, it's a skill that you learn how to save in the beginning.
Yeah.
If you do it for a little bit, right? You can't just do it one time and then stop saving. It's a muscle that you constantly, training. You got to save, and then next month you have to do it again. And as the years go by, you can't just stop saving and just be like, yeah, I've saved. It's an ongoing thing, and you get better and better at doing it, even when you don't want to. So same thing with fitness, it's like that discipline muscle needs to be trained. It's a day you don't want to wake up today, but you do it. And then as the days go, you get better and better at waking up. But if there's a day that you have to stop waking up, or stop going to the gym, you kind of lose that discipline muscle, so it's something that I've learned over the years. And I'm sure a lot of people have as well, where the more you use it, the stronger it's going to get. So exactly like a muscle, right? If you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
And then linking it back to finance, if you're not constantly doing it, you're going to kind of lose the skill.
Yeah, that's profound. That's profound. I travel a lot. And in most cases, I find it quite difficult when I have to adjust to a certain area. It takes me a couple of days before I feel like I need to go to the gym. But when I'm in my home village, I know that every day I have to go to the gym at this time. You know, my trainer is waiting for me there. But the moment I travel, and I do that, almost 2 weeks in a month, I'm out, right? So I'm really, really struggling with that. How would you advise someone like me, who's always moving about and missing days at the gym?
Okay, so first things first, I wouldn't say don't aim for anything extreme right now. You know, I don't think you should be aiming for anything extreme. You have to kind of almost just do what you can and control as many things as you can, right?
Yeah.
You don't have the flexibility to be spending 2-3 hours in the gym at any given point like a lot of people do. So for you, I'd say learn nutrition as much as you can. Use it to your advantage, because you don't want to, a lot of people eat badly and use excessive gymming to kind of break that bad eating, but you can almost use nutrition to your advantage so that you can train minimally, but still kind of keep and build the physique that you want.
Yeah, that's interesting. You mentioned nutrition. I think that's something that I've been missing, and I think a lot of people miss it. There's all this talk and all these supplements that are going around, and at times we don't know how to differentiate between, you know, the right supplement and there's other drugs that are enhancing muscles and stuff like that, you know. So it's always confusing. Sometimes when someone says, no, take this supplement, you're like, no, I don't want to do drugs. So yeah, how important is it, and how can we differentiate between these two?
Okay, so if we're talking drugs, and let's just link it into our country, alcohol is very accepted, right? If someone had to offer you a drink, you're almost not going to push it away and call it drugs and call it bad for your body. But the second people start talking about supplementation that actually has a purpose, you know, stuff that you can buy. I'm not talking any drugs. I mean, like, health supplementation, people kind of avoid it and almost be like, it's toxic for me, right? So we're avoiding the wrong things, but typically you don't need supplements, right? You don't need it, but it will enhance your, it will enhance your fitness journey in a sense of, like, you're a busy man, right?
Yeah.
You don't have time to be eating 5 to 6 meals a day to get your nutritional benefits, right? So you almost need to use supplementation to get the stuff that you're going to be missing, because you can't be eating that much.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, you don't have time to eat all those meals, so you can have a protein shake because it's on the go and you're traveling. So you almost need to use it to your advantage. Safe ones that you can get like on the shelf. You don't, no backdoor stuff, but pretty much that's it, man. So it will help you in your journey.
Yeah.
Right?
And we were taught that at school. You know, at times we become dumb as we get older. You know, you are taught that the body needs protein, it needs this, it needs this. But every day we are eating pap and beef on a daily basis. And you're going to the gym, you are trying to train, and you don't see good results. I think it's really coming from that.
Yeah. Okay. No, I see. Look, I don't want people to fight with me now if I tell them not to eat pap, but there are better options, and it would be nice if there is all that information is out there. If people just reached out and almost just learned for themselves, you know, like for your job in finance, finance is important to you, right? So you'd never approach finance in a uneducated way. If you didn't know something, you'd go learn about it.
Yeah.
Even if it's in the slightest way possible. So I fully believe that if people don't know what to do with nutrition, it would be advised that, number one, they either get a coach, or if they're not in the position to get a coach, I'd say that they just learn the basics, you know. How much food do they need to be eating a day? What promotes fat loss? What's bad for fat loss? Because it's not really the food types as much as they play an important role. It's more about how much people are consuming.
Yeah.
You know, we in a society now where overconsumption is pretty normal. You know, everything we do is in excess. So I teach people balance first, and not cut everything out off the bat. Because the more people can learn balance, and like the 80-20 rule, which I teach my clients, it's like get it 80% right, mess up the 20%, and you should still be moving forward, right?
Yeah.
But in our society, we kind of mess up 80%, then try, you know, save 20 in hopes of moving forward. So
yeah. Wow. I was speaking to one doctor not so long ago, and he was teaching about portions that we need in the body. Everyone got upset because it was like, you don't need 2 spoons of pap. You just need 1 spoon.
Yeah.
You need so many milligrams of this. And when you looked at the plate, it was like, nah, I won't be satisfied with that. But he was basically just teaching what you are saying, to say, look, there's an amount that the body needs. And then there's an amount that you think you need, right? But you don't need. And when you eat in excess, you are most likely not going to be that productive. You won't be able to do other things, and it costs you, in the long term. Speaking about information and research, I have seen that you are very active on social media.
Yeah.
And I think you are really killing it on social media.
Thank you so much, man.
Love your clips. Very, very clean, and you know what to expect.
Yeah.
Right. It almost reminds me of Ashton Hall. That's one of the guys that I've been following on fitness, but not necessarily fitness for him, because he's more commercial now.
Yes.
Right. But even though he's more commercial, you can tell that the guy is well built. He probably has a routine, a proper routine.
Yes.
And stuff like that. But there has been a lot of junk going on socials. A lot of content that destroy people. Right. So for you, what would you say is the most important thing on your brand when it comes to social media content, to try and get people away from that content which actually kills them?
All right, perfect. So the most thing for me, it's showing people that none of this is quick, right? We in this place now, in this catch-22 where everything needs to be fast, right?
Yeah.
Our deliveries for food need to be fast, our Wi-Fi needs to be fast. So our brains are kind of wired to have everything quick and easy. So if you want your social media to blow up now, you have to give people the next best, the next best thing, right? And people are not going deep into routine, right? So what I try to show my followers is, number 1, I'm in the gym every day. Number 2, I'm eating a certain way every single day. So I've never ever dropped a quick fix on anyone, right? Or a little 5-step how to, or a 10-step how to, because it's far bigger than that. It's far more complex than a 5-step routine, and just showing people how to do things on a daily basis and not telling them what to do, kind of showing them, this is what I do. I'm at the gym at this time. I do this at a certain time. So the more people can avoid those quick, if you are looking to filter out social media, BS, I'd say first look, the second someone's trying to sell you something quick, right? That's already a red flag that they're using it as as like a catch for you. So what I did, like you mentioned Ashton Hall. One thing about him, as much as we did clown him for that whole routine thing, he showed people routine, right? And people are almost like, there's no way it's that simple. But it really is, have a set routine in place, do that, right? And do it over a long period of time, and you should get to the results that you want. But if you told people do these things over 3 years, it's almost like, oh no, I don't have 3 years. I have my boy's wedding coming up.
Summer is coming.
For us, summer's coming. Yeah. So if you can cut that BS out the way, you should be consuming good content and people that are actually showing you how it's done, and not just giving you, like we said, those 5-step routines, man. So yeah, that's what I try to show my followers, dude. It's like, every day. It's an everyday thing. Every decision counts, right? And every indecision counts as well, right? So every decision not made is a decision as well. Because if you decide to not focus on your nutrition, it's a decision in and of itself, exactly like someone who decides to take their nutrition seriously.
Yeah. Wow. And I'm, as we were speaking, I'm just thinking there's this, new trends of BBLs, right? People are busy, going to see surgeons, to do all of these things. Is it possible for someone, following a certain routine to get exactly what they want, in a certain period of time without necessarily having to go through the knife?
Yeah. So look, people who do that miss out on that whole spectrum that I hope we get into today. And it's, mindset, character. For instance, I'll give you an example. Clients that I work with, they start off a certain person, and I have those notes in heavy detail. Second I meet them, who they are, what they stand for, their belief systems, their routines. I have all of that in hyper detail, right? And then 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the line, when this person's completely changed their physique, I ask them the exact same questions I asked them in our initial, starting phase. And if you look at the answer differences, it's a completely different person with completely different belief systems. They look at themselves differently. So I think if you do go the BBL route, which you can go, a lot of people do it. It's it's no secret that a lot of women are, I hope gents are not getting BBLs either.
Yeah. I'm sure they are.
Well, I pray my boys are not getting BBLs, but for the most part, you miss out on that whole character development piece if you do take a shortcut.
Yeah.
You miss out on who you can become, and you're just jumping straight to the finished product. And look, you can do it. People are going to see the finished product, but you'll know. Yeah.
It's like winning a lotto.
Yeah.
It can be as exciting as building a business, seeing it grow, making your first million.
Yes.
You miss out on the journey. And I think even after, attaining that body that you wanted from a knife, you still don't enjoy as much as someone who has been on the treadmill, who has lifted some weights, who has tried and failed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow.
It's a great example, man.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I want us to get into the business side of things.
All right.
You are not just a trainer. You are a businessman. So I just want to know, have you always thought about this as a business? Or it happened through sheer luck, or you were within a group of people who were doing something and then it ended up there? I like to ask business people that question because at times, we become so motivational and we are like, I've always thought about this way. I had a plan.
Yes.
Yeah. So for you, how did it come about?
Look, so for me, fitness was something that I did for leisure. It kind of kept me out of all the other BS, but then I realized, time is going and you don't want to be that guy that's only doing fitness. You don't want to be that guy that only looks good, right? You want to have something with substance, and I didn't know how I was going to turn it into a business. I had no clue how I was going to do it, but the first roots for me was I was like, I'm going to hop into the personal training space because that way I'll be able to firstly see how it feels to monetize fitness the first way, and that's what completely started opening doors for me. I didn't know how those doors were going to open at first, but I knew like if I did go into that space and, give it my all and meet as many people as I can. And that's when small little doors started slowly opening, meeting people with bigger companies than me and outside of fitness who asked me to do a few things for them, etc., work with them. And that's when social media started taking off as well, in a sense of social media campaigns. And then you get your first payment there and you kind of realize, okay, there's other avenues that side, and you start exploring those avenues. And then working with brands was another one for me. That wasn't in my head either. But first brand opportunity and you see that it's actually real. And then social media money came, and not social media money per se, but that sort of platform opening up doors for you, like Instagram, and TikTok now for a lot of people. So that's how fitness became a business for me. It wasn't just look, the personal training side, I absolutely love it and I still love it. I think I'll always do that, but now just fully scaling it elsewhere and scaling it as big as we can, like worldwide, has been the biggest excitement for me recently.
Is it important for you to reach out to as many people as possible? Because at times we try to remain a lot more humble when it comes to business. Like, I'm not doing this for the money, so I'm okay in my corner, so for you, what is the driver? Is it, to make a living, or is it to impact lives?
Look, first of all, you come into it for money, but impacting lives is something that you can never get into it. I'm sure a lot of people do, but you wouldn't get into it saying, I'm getting into this to impact lives, because impacting lives is such a long game. You know, you'll only impact lives after you've been in the space for some time and you've been doing it, and you know, you learn more on how you can kind of get into people's personal lives, how you can help them. So now it is about impacting lives, you know, because we're not really under the gun anymore, needing to like hustle here and there so it's not hustling here and there anymore, you know, like the business is there. Now we can actually use the free time that we have to fully impact lives.
Yeah.
You know, and being humble in business, I really think it's who you have around you. You know, because I do come from a smaller town where I came here in hopes of making a certain amount.
Yeah.
And you make that and you kind of realize if you're around people who don't have a bigger vision for you or who don't see it, you could say that's the end goal. But I had really great guys around me. You know, I had really great guys around me who, once I reached that point, were like, come on, you know.
Yeah, you can.
You know,
you can just maintain this.
You can't push it forward.
To grow.
Yeah, and then a few guys showed me that, like, you know, this is what can be possible. And you look at it and you're like, oh my God. Yeah. I'll actually name drop one of them. His name's Jonathan Pula, big guy in the fitness industry. He's a coach and a mentor to me, business wise, etc. He was one of the guys who showed me that, you know what, fitness doesn't have to be, you know, you don't have to just be a trainer. When people see a trainer, they're like, okay, it's just a trainer. You know, but there's so much more. And there's going to be just a trainer, and then there's going to be guys who are, you know, doing it big. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's important that you've said that, because, a lot of people, or in our communities, I come from Botswana, and in Botswana, it's a small country. So fitness is not as big as it is here, you know, so trainers are seen as people who just love to lift weights, you know, and look nice and walk around, right? When they do start making it as a business, they train a couple of people there, they make a bit of money, that's okay. And when you talk to them also, you see that is where their mindset is also. They're just okay with training a couple of people. They're not talking what you are saying right now. Having so many avenues of business, you know, different streams coming there and there. How would you say what would you say would be the best or ideal model for you when it comes to this business, as you are continuing to do all these different things? I know that it was not planned from the beginning that it was going to end like this.
Yeah.
But do you feel like you have done the whole cycle of training, or there's still so many other areas that haven't been tapped into?
I think there's so many other areas, man, and we're learning and growing at a quick rate. So I'd say if I am talking to a young trainer who was probably in the same situation I was in, I'd say they'd need to express a lot more hunger than that, you know, than just training a few people, just getting by. Because if you do keep it that way, I think you'd live a half comfortable life. You should be okay, but you're never going to get to that level where a lot of people are, you know. And it's easy for a trainer to go on social media and look at what people are doing in fitness and how many people's lives they're touching, the cars they're driving. It would be foolish to not try find out, like, how can that be you? You know, it would be foolish to not look further into the business and how they did it, their processes, do exact. A friend of mine always talks about follow the money.
Yeah.
Right? Since we are talking money and business, it's like follow the money and do exactly what the people who have the money are doing. You know, it started off as fitness and you trained a few people and it worked out. It was great. But if you stop there, you're simply going to just stop there and you're never going to be able to push it forward. Yeah. You know, and the circle I'm in, I'm pretty much only the only fitness guy there, you know, and it's business people, right? Yeah. Like, it's business people, and the way they scale and the way that, even though a lot of them are wealthy, they don't stop. They're constantly looking for something more. So if you are that young trainer that's, you know, just doing personal training, I'd say look for more. Because there's people with a lot who don't need to look for more, but are still looking for other avenues to, you know, 10x everything else around them.
Absolutely. So there are, you know, the fitness industry, I compare it to people who are doing sports.
Yeah.
time is quite limited on what you can do physically yourself, right? When it comes to scaling the business such that you are no longer needed to be present in most of the cases, what are you currently thinking about?
You see, so that's a tricky one. See, that's something you really need to go into depth of. How do you step outside of the business? Right. And a lot of guys are doing it in a sense that if you built your brand so big, right? If you built your brand so big that everybody knows to come to you for wealth advice, right? And money advice, that your brand is so big and it's almost like the umbrella. And then you get a lot of young guys who teach investments and who are going to handle your clientele, right? That way people are coming to you. People are paying to be a part of your brand, but you're not doing the work that you used to. You're not really doing the investing. They're using your principles. You know, they're using your philosophy. They're using your background, stuff you learned, stuff you paid school fees for, and they're just doing it for people under you. So same with us, right? If your brand is big enough, you'd bring in coaches under you, right? Who would coach people using your philosophies, using your brand, you know, wearing your stuff. So that is pretty much in my head right now, how you can step out from doing it in person.
Yeah.
Or if you are doing it online, it's still you. You know, it's not really a business yet.
Yeah.
Because it's still you in the field constantly working. If you step away or become sick, you know, everything comes to a halt. So that's another avenue for us to, you know, look at and work hard at. So that's why we can't stop until we, you know, crack all those.
Yeah. And I think it's a bit scary because I fall into that category also. You know, we didn't start the versions, right? So version, it's a big corporate. You know, the owner, a lot of people even who work there, they haven't met the owner.
Yeah.
You know, and when you think about it and how we got into business ourselves, it was just you, it was just me, it was just your face, it was my face, got into business, and then people had a liking for us and what we do. Yeah. And that is the greatest case. So once people have a liking for you, they want to see you. The only time they will pay real money is when you are around. You send someone, they're like, no, man, you didn't ask for that person.
Yeah.
Want you, even if you tell them, look, I've trained that person, they know exactly what I can do. So it still, you know, becomes a challenge. So I'm sure that you are also, you know, struggling with that. And one of the things would be you train people, and then when you train people, they become affiliates of your program.
Yeah.
These people, sometimes there's a tendency of people trying to run away with your model. And now they no longer want to become affiliates. Yeah. Now they took the model we are looking for. Now you are working training. You are always training and people are moving. I think that's one of the scariest things when it comes to this type of business. So I don't know if that's something that you have thought about, and you are really, really pushing to try and fight so that your brand can be in Limpopo, it can be in KZN, and you are not there, but people understand that this brand comes there.
Wow, yes.
Yeah.
That's incredible, man. You know, I've never really thought of that. I have really thought we often quickly think worldwide and almost forget about our beautiful continent and how many people are in it.
Yeah.
And how fitness can almost impact their lives. So I think for me, having the abundance mindset would be, I wouldn't be afraid if someone had to take my ideas and run with it, you know, because that way I'd know that hopefully take it in the purest form. And if that can give their clientele, even though they took it from whoever, if it can give their clientele half of what it gave me, you know, then the difference is made. It would be so arrogant to sit around and be like, you know, my philosophy is the one and no one can take my philosophy and run with it and go and do something bigger. I think that would be a very egotistical way to run with it. Yeah. So having that abundance mindset would be like, if they do come in and take the philosophy and do it, and, you know, then it wasn't meant to be in the first place. Yeah. Right. So that's how I'd look at it, man. But it would be great. I think getting stuff into like Limpopo, Botswana and, you know, surrounding countries would be incredible, man.
Yeah. I think it's I've sat down with a lot of business people, and I've also heard that kind of, thinking, overseas, you can easily get more money in those countries, internationally. But when you think about it, really, real impact needs to be done, here.
Yeah.
And not there. But then again, you are running a business. If you are running a business and you've got people that you are responsible for, you need to make sure that you succeed. Yeah. The brand has to go where it can actually succeed, And I've been observing, if you look at, Southern Africa itself, it has over 250 million, people. That's a whole population. But then again, affordability might be a challenge.
Yes.
Right. For the most part.
Yeah.
Unlike maybe 250 million in the US, you have affordability in the 50% or plus. Here affordability is in the 10% and minus.
Yeah.
Which poses a great challenge. So in South Africa, there are plenty training facilities, and there are a lot of wealthy families. Unlike maybe in countries like Lesotho, Botswana, you'll not find that, right? But South Africa, it's a really big market when it comes to this lifestyle. But then we have a community of people who we can say they can't afford, but not necessarily, because they do buy a lot of alcohol and drugs.
Yeah, it's true.
So when you look at just a normal gym membership, you are looking at maybe your $500 to $1,000. But on a monthly basis, some of these people, either they get grants or maybe they get an allowance or whatever they get, and they choose to use that on drugs and alcohol. And it's a huge market, that properly tapped into. It can build a business. Do you have thoughts of, all these people who are coming from these communities to just find a way of taking them out and showing them that fitness is actually a way out of poverty?
You see, so that's another way. It's like you spoke about, if it's a business, you want to generate as much money as possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's true. We'll work with overseas people, and we'd prefer to keep it that way. But if we're talking closer to home, I think the first thing would be people in the township, and we can't even just say the townships and poorer countries, they have a value perception with regards to alcohol and fitness. They place a higher importance on leisure and stuff like that than they'd put fitness. So I think the first job, and not just for a coach, but for people in bigger positions, would be just placing a higher importance on fitness and health, and that will change their value perception with regards to health. Because if you have 1,000 Rand extra at the end of the month, for instance, right, you don't have much money, but your value perception on fitness, do you use that 500 on your membership, right? Or do you trick it off on the side doing stuff that, your friends are doing, right? So that kid or that adult or that young adult is not going to use that money on fitness and nutrition because no one taught them the value of it. If you had to ask them, they just think fitness is big muscles or whatever it may be, or the guy that's trying to play in the PSL.
Yeah.
If he's not going to go that route, it's like, it's either you going that route like fully, like I'm trying to be a professional sportsman, or I'm just not going to do it. I'm just going to be, in degeneracy, like drinking, smoking. So you can show kids that there's an in-between. You don't have to be moving into the professional space, like trying to be a professional soccer player to enjoy fitness and learn about it. You can still be healthy. You can still be, in the fitness space before even monetizing it. So just teaching them that if you are fit and you look your best, the chances of you getting into rooms that maybe your background wouldn't bring you into, right? A great body can bring you into it.
Yeah.
You don't have the best circle of influence because maybe you may have grown up in a township or whatever it may be. And your way of getting into a room is maybe you don't have connections. But if, for instance, you had the best body possible and the best physique you could possibly bring and the best habits, right? Even though you're growing up in a township, when you go somewhere, guys are going to give you respect off the bat. That's going to get you into conversations, number one, right? That could be your breakthrough. Someone could be like, they're going to ask you questions like, how did you do it? Now you're in a conversation that you would have never been in if you weren't fit, right? So if someone does have nothing, first thing they should do is build their body.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm speaking to a lot of gents. It's like, we think we need all of these other things, but we neglecting the first thing that it takes to get it. So before I had anything, I was in rooms that I never deserved to be in only because of the way I looked. Fitness wise, I'm talking about, fitness wise, I got into certain rooms only because of fitness.
Yeah.
Right. That I would have never gotten into because of intellectual or anything like that. It started with fitness, and you get praise from that. And then inevitably you're going to carry yourself a certain way in other avenues of your life. Now you look this way, it got you into these rooms. So you're probably not going to indulge in alcohol as much as you would have if you had nothing going for you.
Yeah.
You get one thing going for you and it's fitness. Eventually everything else is going to flow.
Yeah.
You'll probably become better with your finances. You'll become better with relationships. You'll be a better person for people around you. So I'd say, that's what they should do, in hopes of, it's the best way to get you somewhere if you're not doing anything already.
Yeah.
It's never ruined anyone's life getting into fitness.
Yeah.
I don't know whose life it hasn't made significantly better.
Yeah.
Whether you like hyper rich and you have a lot of wealth, or you completely at the bottom, building a better body is never going to be detrimental to you ever.
Yeah. Wow. That's profound. That's profound. As you are speaking, I'm just thinking there was a guy in our neighborhood growing up.
Yeah.
This guy, so the family was quite poor, but, this guy was a fitness junkie from the time we were young. And we didn't understand it because we were only training for athletics or football. When the season is over, we don't even care about, taking rounds or doing anything. And this guy was very, very consistent. He was consistent about doing his weight. He didn't do really well at school, but for some reason, everyone had a liking for this guy. We liked him. He was the muscle guy. And then when, after he failed at school, but he kept on getting gigs. He would get gigs as a bouncer. You get gigs, in a hotel, as a waiter. He always got gigs, right? And I think it was because of, how he looked. Because someone who works out, they look, presentable. They look well on clothes,
Yes.
So when you come into the room, already you have gotten a tick and people are interested. Even if you don't know how to talk, they might excuse that and say, "Oh, but this guy has done some work," and I think the way that you just described it, it makes a lot more sense if people were to look at it that way. Because for me, in finance, I would say anyone who can save money, I can trust that person. I can partner with that person.
Yeah.
That is someone, who actually understands, the how to endure pain over a period of time to gain something, later on in the future. And somebody who builds muscle, or, trains, that's something that you can do overnight. It has to be done over time consistently. You have to go through periods where you feel like nothing is happening. Nothing is moving, but you still keep on moving. Yeah. And I think that is powerful and profound, because when you look into most of the poor communities, you can imagine a lot of kids have given up. Those who wanted to play soccer, they were not drafted, so they give up. Those who wanted to do basketball, not drafted, they give up. But nobody takes away your own training, your own physique.
Yes.
And it actually aligns your mind. So I just want you to get into that area of training. The importance of it when it comes to both, mental, spiritual alignment, and, just allowing someone to become a whole being.
Okay. All right. 100%. So I'd say there's of course going to be two types of people, someone who trains and someone who doesn't, work out. And if you take someone who works out, for instance, I'll use myself as an example. I'm a certain way when I don't work out.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm a certain way when I do. So if I took someone who, works out regularly, all of your habits are going to be, in check for the most part, versus someone who doesn't work out. And the way I look is an easy way to see how I'm feeling. The second I'm not looking the way I know I'm supposed to look, something else in my life is going wrong. Right? The second my training falls away, it's a clear indication that something else is happening in the background, right? So I'd never speak about working out like it's something actually spiritual, right? But if we're talking about a whole being, the second I'm looking my best, it's very, very hard for me to be screwing up elsewhere. Like I probably won't be screwing up financially. I probably won't be screwing up with my family or relationships I have around me. So if I keep that first thing in check, because that's where it all started, right? The likelihood of everything else being in check is very high. But the second that falls, right? The second that top piece falls, it's almost like a stumbling block, because now I'm not spending so much time in the gym, or I lose that structure. So now I might spend money on, things that have no value, and the financial piece falls away. I start losing myself in that process, and I become a terrible person to be around relationship wise.
Yeah.
So that's how I'd say someone should view it. It's like, you can't tick all the boxes without ticking all the boxes. You don't want to be that guy that's hyper rich, and people just hate being around you. And you have zero health on your side.
Yeah.
Right. It would be more ideal for you to be a whole human or a whole being, like you said, if your finances are in check. Your fitness is in check and your health is in check. That way everything else follows.
Yeah.
You don't want to tell people like, I have the finances, just accept me for being, a terrible person to be around, and your family hates being around you, and they pretty much know you don't have much time to live, but you saying it's in the name of finances. But if you just kept the health piece, you'd be a complete human, because it's something we unfortunately can't ignore.
Yeah.
As much as we try, like we said, even indecision is a decision, like we said at the beginning of the podcast. So for those people, I'd say make sure all the boxes are ticked. If I'm talking to the gents as well, I'd be like, make sure all your boxes are ticked, for you to be that person. Because if at least one thing falls away, there's something that wouldn't fall away, which will be your health and fitness. If you really focus in on it. And let's just take, for example, if you don't have a health hindrance, and you don't have something limiting you in that field, I'd say give it your everything to be at the top of your game.
Someone once said that you can have as many problems as you would like in your life until you have a health problem. When you have a health problem, you have one problem.
That's beautiful.
Any other thing drops.
Yeah.
There's just one problem that I faced.
It's beautiful, man. And we choose to, and I heard someone also say that, it's similar to what you just said. It's like, I says we only learn when we fully crash the car. Like you'll speed and then have these near misses constantly, or drink and drive, have these near misses. But the only time we kind of change is once you've completely totaled the car, and then you're like, okay, maybe now I'll change it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, unlike a car, you'll probably just be able to just renew it or whatever it may be. You can buy tons of them or whatever. With health, unfortunately, a lot of people take it to that point where it tanks to no return. And you're not able to return from it.
Yeah.
And it's too late. But there's podcasts like these where you guys have people on here and you're warning them, bro, save money because you're going to be old one day. Don't wait until you're there and it's like, oh, damn, I didn't save money. But they're going to be like, but you listened to it 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So don't wait 20 years for people to be like, you watch these videos on Instagram every single day telling you what's going to happen if you didn't focus on your health.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But now you waited for the car to be completely totaled and now you want to make the decision. You're in a terrible spot now.
You can't buy a new body.
Can't buy a new body, bro.
I like what you just mentioned about, training being used as some form of a tracker. If you have been training and you stop training, it's an indication that something is going on in your life. It could be that maybe you are a bit stressed. It could be that maybe you work a lot. It could be that you are not well.
Yeah.
health-wise. So I'm just imagining if every family used that as a tracker to find out, instead of asking anyone, are you okay? You just check if they have trained.
Yeah.
Right? Because if they have trained, then they are okay. If they were not okay before the training, they should be okay by now. But the moment someone stays the whole day in the room, 2 days they're not going for training, you need not ask, that they're not okay.
Something's wrong.
It's a good indication.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
That's great, man. I like the way you put it.
Yeah. So there are 3 things that you spoke about. You said you need to know your why, understand your nutrition to the T.
Yeah.
And it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. As we come to the close, I want you to just clarify these 3 principles.
All right, which one would you like me to start with, man?
Start with the know your why.
All right, know your why, man. If your why is family, if your why is your business, if your biggest driving force in life is your business, if you don't have your health, you're not able to push that why to the max. You're not able to give your business its everything. If your why is your family, if you don't have your health, you're not going to be able to give your family the longevity they deserve from you, right? And if your why is, for instance, yourself, right? It would be wrong for you to neglect yourself and not use that as the main driving force to ensure that your health is at its peak form.
Wow. And understanding your nutrition to the T.
All right. So with work, like I asked you earlier, it's like, would you ever enter a workspace and not have knowledge about it? You'd make sure you clued up on the certain things to ensure that you are successful in that field. So I tell people, if you are serious about your body and you are serious about moving forward in this health thing and looking your best, take the time, get a coach. If you don't get a coach, learn it yourself, take the time, learn it, learn exactly what nutrition does for you, how much you need of it, how long you need to stretch these phases for, and that way you'll be guaranteed success, man. I believe knowledge is power, bro.
Yeah. And it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
And take your time with it. Quick fixes. Quick fixes are the biggest red flag in this industry. So take your time with the whole thing. A lot of people took many years to mess their bodies up, and they're expecting a little quick fix to, fix the damage that was done over tons of years. I'd say take your time with it. No one's really rushing you. It's something that you got to do every single day. And as long as you can understand that, you start enjoying the whole thing in between. You start enjoying that whole thing in between, because there is no end, The confetti's never going to shoot and then the whole, the show's over. It's like, it's something that you're going to carry with you until the end. So get that end goal out of your head. I mean, set mini goals in between, little pit stops, stuff that can keep your brain knowing that you are achieving certain areas, but just understand that there's never going to be an end to it. And it's just a marathon. Yeah.
It's a lifetime thing. You don't do it because you are feeling a certain way this time around, or you are going for a holiday in December. You want to have that bikini body. It doesn't work that way. I see a lot of people hurting themselves in the gym, trying to get a summer body.
Yeah, it's crazy to see, bro. And we're approaching that time now. December's here. Oh,
it's crazy. I'm sure it's crazy at the gyms now.
I love
people are subscribing.
It's happening in the gym now, man.
Wonderful. Okay, so we always like for our guests to ask our next guest a question. And we are going to let them know that it was Aurelio who actually asked that question. Okay. They have to answer it. So what would be that question for them?
Okay, easy. So ask him, what's the truth about your industry or your life that most people don't want to hear but needs to be said? Okay, cool. I want to hear his answers.
Aurelio, your last word and also where people can find you.
All right. Number one, thank you guys for listening. I hope they got a little bit of value from it. And I hope, like I said earlier, fitness gives someone out there who doesn't have it half of what it gave me.
Yeah.
That I'd say is my last words. And then number 2, on Instagram, Aurelio_Miguel.
Brother, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, my brother.
Yes.